The first time I saw the hint of her true self, it wasn't in a dramatic confession or some planned revelation. It was in the way his eyes would linger, just a moment too long, on the mannequins in the women's department, a fleeting shadow of longing that would quickly be replaced by a practiced neutrality. It was in the way he'd sometimes absent-mindedly trace the pattern on one of my scarves, his touch surprisingly delicate, almost reverent. We had been together for 5 years, and I thought I knew every secret corner of Sam's heart. We were the couple who finished each other's sentences, who communicated with a glance across a crowded room. But this was a language he hadn't yet taught me, a part of himself kept under lock and key. The kitchen moment everyone asks about, the skirt, wasn't the beginning. It was the breaking of a dam. It had been building for months. I'd find fashion magazines tucked under the bed, not the typical men's glossies, but ones featuring androgynous models and flowing feminine silhouettes. I'd notice late-night internet searches left open on the laptop, pages about gender identity and cross-dressing forums. I didn't say anything, I just waited, my heart a confused but hopeful drumbeat in my chest, hoping he would trust me with this fragile, hidden thing. That Tuesday morning, the air in our kitchen was thick with more than just the smell of brewing coffee. There was a nervous energy crackling around Sam. He was fidgeting, uncharacteristically quiet. The sunlight streamed in, illuminating the dust motes and the unspoken words between us. And then he just stepped into a patch of that light. He was wearing a simple black A-line skirt and a soft gray sweater. The transformation wasn't just in the clothes, it was in his posture. The usual masculine slouch was gone, replaced with a new, tentative grace. His shoulders were softer, his hands held differently. He looked terrified, and he looked more like himself than I had ever seen him. My breath caught. It wasn't shock, it was recognition. This was the missing piece I never knew I was looking for. I walked over slowly, not wanting to break the spell. My own jeans and t-shirt felt suddenly clumsy and inadequate. I leaned in, my voice barely a whisper, needing to cut the tension with our familiar humor. Well, look at you. I guess this finally answers who really wears the pants in this family. The sound that escaped his lips was half sob, half laugh, a pure release of pent-up fear. The relief in his eyes was so profound, it brought tears to my own. In that moment, I wasn't just his girlfriend, I was his lifeline. I took his hands, which were trembling slightly. "No, Sam," I said, my voice firm with conviction. "You look incredible. You look like you." I could feel the pounding of his heart through his fingertips. This was the moment, the point of no return. "And you know what?" I said, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, a spark of excitement igniting in my chest. "We need to talk, seriously talk, about getting you breast implants." His eyes, wide and vulnerable, snapped to mine. The fear was still there, but now it was mingled with something else, a dawning, disbelieving hope. It was the biggest gesture of acceptance I could offer in that second. It was my way of saying, "I see you, all of you. And I'm not just staying, I'm jumping in with both feet. Let's dream this new dream together." That kitchen moment lasted for hours. The coffee grew cold and forgotten as we talked about everything. He told me about the years of hiding, the shame, the secret purchases and the purges, the overwhelming feeling of wrongness in his own skin. I listened, my heart breaking for the pain he'd carried alone. We cried, we held each other, and we began to plan. The journey that followed was our greatest adventure. We became researchers, partners in crime. We pored over websites about breast augmentation, comparing sizes and shapes with the same intensity we'd once used to choose a couch. "What about these?" he'd ask, pointing to a picture, his voice a mix of excitement and nervousness. "Too much? Not enough?" Hormone therapy came next. I learned to give him his injections, my hands steady even when my heart was full of emotion. I watched with awe as the hormone therapy began its gentle work. It was a slow, miraculous metamorphosis. His coarse stubble on his cheeks softened, then disappeared. His skin became smoother. His body's scent changed to something softer, sweeter. There was a new roundness to his hips, a subtle redistribution of weight that made his new clothes hang just right. It wasn't a disguise. It was an emergence. The person he was inside was slowly, beautifully, mapping herself onto the outside world. The day of her breast augmentation surgery, I held his hand in the pre-op room. His knuckles were white. "What if I'm making a mistake?" he whispered, the old fear resurfacing. I squeezed his hand. I knew in my bones. "You're not. You're coming home. Ready to meet her properly?" The first time he saw his new reflection, with the curves he'd always dreamed of, he wept. Not tears of pain from the surgery, but tears of profound, soul-deep relief. The first time he put on a lacy bra that actually fit, that actually belonged, he spun in front of the mirror. The joy on his face was incandescent. I spun with him, both of us laughing, dizzy with happiness, our reflections a blur of joy in the glass. But the biggest step was still to come, the decision for gender confirmation surgery. That was a colossal one, a mountain that loomed on our horizon. Our nights were filled with long, deep conversations that stretched into the early hours. We talked about the risks, the recovery, the finality, and the incredible freedom. We faced the fears together, fears of societal acceptance, of medical complications, of simply being different. My role was solidifying. I was his protector, his rock, his unwavering supporter. I was becoming his husband. The word felt new and powerful on my tongue. Husband. If my person was becoming my wife, then I would be the proudest, most devoted husband any woman ever had. The morning of her surgery, the air in the hospital room was sterile and heavy with significance. I held his hand, our fingers intertwined. "I'll be right here when you wake up, Samantha," I whispered, using her chosen name for the first time in such a sacred space. It was no longer Sam. It was Samantha, her real name, her true self. Her recovery was a quiet, sacred time. I became her nurse, her chef, her cheerleader. I fluffed her pillows, brought her tea, and watched endless movies with her. I marveled at her strength, her resilience, her incredible courage through the pain. This wasn't just a medical procedure. It was a rebirth. And I had the profound privilege of having a front row seat to the miracle of my wife becoming whole. We settled into our new roles not as a performance, but as the most natural evolution of our love. Samantha, with her gentle strength and effortless grace, was my beautiful wife, and I, her proud and devoted husband. People see us now, a seemingly traditional husband and wife, and they make their assumptions. They have no idea that our love story is written in a unique and beautiful language all our own. Our love isn't about following a script, it's about rewriting it together. It's a chosen love, a fought-for love, a love that stared down fear and convention and chose authenticity above all else. The hormones, the surgeries, the new wardrobe, those were just the physical chapters. The real story is the one written in our hearts. It's the story of two people who made a promise to love every single version of each other, no matter how much we grew and changed. It's a promise to always see the truest, most beautiful self in the other, even when that self is waiting, patiently, to be revealed. And we do. So here we are, Samantha and me, husband and wife, two souls who found a perfect, unique harmony, not by following the music everyone else heard, but listening to the rhythm of their own heart and composing a masterpiece together. And my darling wife, the melody is more breathtaking than I could have ever imagined.